Motion is the master key to change. The reason most people remain stuck is not because they don't know what to do, but because they are waiting to feel right before they move. They sit paralyzed, wrapped in anxiety, fear, or doubt, believing that if they wait long enough, clarity or courage will magically arrive. But what they don't understand is this: clarity is not the cause of action, it is the result of action. Courage is not something you are given before the battle. It is what grows in you when you step into the unknown, when you force yourself to move, even when every fiber of your being resists. You activate a law of life that rewards motion with momentum. The first step forward, taken in defiance of fear, carries a force that no amount of thought can replicate. It shifts your mind, disrupts the inner paralysis, and puts you in control again. The difference between winners and the defeated is not talent or intelligence. It is that winners move while others wait. They move when it's hard, they move when they don't feel like it, they move when they are scared. They know that motion defeats emotion. When the weight of sadness tries to glue them to the bed, they stand up anyway. When fear whispers lies about failure, they walk toward their purpose regardless. Because motion changes everything, it awakens the body, it stirs the soul, it rewires the brain. It is impossible to stay in despair when you are in movement toward your vision. Think about a river. When it flows, it purifies itself. But when it stagnates, it becomes toxic. The same is true for the human spirit. When you stop, the poison of negative thought begins to settle. But when you move, those thoughts are washed away by progress. Movement is more than physical, it is spiritual. It is a declaration that you are alive and intend to live fully. It is rebellion against the lie that you are powerless. Every time you choose to act, even in the smallest way, you send a message to your soul: I will not be a prisoner of my fears. I will not bow to comfort. I will not let the weight of yesterday hold me hostage. Those who achieve greatness are not those who always knew what they were doing. They are the ones who moved in spite of uncertainty. They wrote the book without a guarantee it would sell. They made the call not knowing how it would be received. They stepped on stage even while fear clenched their stomach, and every time they moved, the fear weakened. Every time they acted, their confidence grew, because forward motion silences the critic within. It drowns out the doubts that echo in the silence of inaction. The cure for fear is not more analysis, it is more action. The medicine for doubt is effort. The solution to stagnation is forward movement, however imperfect. In every dark season of your life, the light you seek is waiting on the other side of movement. You cannot think your way out of a pit, you must climb. And it will not feel natural, it will not feel good at first. Your emotions will scream for you to stop, but that is not a sign that you are weak. It is a sign that you are pushing against the chains. Chains resist when you try to break free. But if you keep moving, the chains break. If you keep pushing, the wall cracks. If you keep walking, the storm passes. No one feels like moving at the start. Movement must be forced in the beginning. The mind prefers the known. It fears the unknown. But greatness does not live in what you know. It lives in what you're willing to explore. It is unlocked through persistence, through steps taken in faith, not certainty. Through getting up one more time when your soul is tired, through taking one more shot when everything inside you says quit. Emotion makes the difference. You can read 1,000 books and still be paralyzed, but take one step and you learn more than theory ever could teach. People want results without resistance. They want transformation without tension. But life doesn't work that way. The resistance is the path. The struggle is the signal. When you feel discomfort as you move forward, it is a sign you are growing. When your legs shake beneath the weight of effort, that is the moment strength is built. Do not mistake discomfort for danger. Most of what you feel when you're stretching into a new version of yourself is not fear. It is the friction of evolution, and it only fades if you keep moving. You don't need a 10-year plan. You don't need to figure it all out. You need to move forward today, just today. That is where all power lies. In the present moment, in the present action, one forward decision, one forward motion. That's how lives change. Not in sudden explosions, but in the quiet power of daily decisions to move. Forward is not a place, it is a mindset. It is the refusal to let the past define you. It is the determination to live in pursuit rather than in retreat. It is the discipline to show up again and again and again, even when nothing seems to be changing, because deep inside you know that things are changing, you are changing. Even if your body is broken, your spirit can move. Even if your finances are low, your purpose can rise. Even if your confidence is shattered, your courage can walk. You can always move forward in some way. You can speak, you can think, you can create, you can give. Forward is not measured in miles, it's measured in heart, and if your heart is beating, then forward is still possible. You are not finished, you are not trapped, you are not powerless, but you must move. Force yourself to move forward even when you are uncertain, even when you are tired, even when the voices in your head are screaming doubt. Because on the other side of movement is revelation. On the other side of action is transformation. Life does not reward the one who waits. It rewards the one who works, the one who moves, the one who takes the step even when the staircase is invisible. You were not born to sit in fear. You were not created to stay in place. The force that moves stars and oceans also lives in you, but it will not activate while you are still. It will rise the moment you do. Excuses are the most subtle form of self-sabotage. They dress themselves in logic. They wear the voice of reason, and they convince you that waiting is wise and that avoidance is self-care. But the truth is, your excuses are the greatest liars you'll ever meet. They don't protect you, they confine you, they don't solve problems, they prevent you from facing them, and the longer you listen to them, the more powerful they become, the more real they seem. You begin to accept them not just as temporary thoughts, but as your identity. I'm not ready, I'm not like them, I don't have time, these aren't facts, these are chains. Inside you is a force capable of building empires, writing masterpieces, launching legacies. But if you keep allowing your excuses to speak louder than your purpose, that force remains buried. You will always find a reason to stay where you are. There will always be something to fear, something to blame, something to wait for. Excuses are endless. But so are your opportunities, and you cannot chase both. You either chase comfort or you chase greatness, but you cannot do both. What most people fail to understand is that excuses rarely sound like laziness. They sound smart, they sound logical. I'll start next week when things calm down. I need to do more research before I begin. I can't work on my dream until everything's perfect. These are the words of someone being tricked by fear. Fear doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers calmly and calls itself wisdom, but real wisdom acts. It doesn't hide. Real wisdom understands that action is the only thing that changes a situation. Real wisdom knows that the conditions will never be perfect, and waiting for them is just another form of running from responsibility. Your excuses are not unique. Everyone has them. The difference is that some people recognize them for what they are, disguises of fear, and others believe them, and belief is powerful. If you believe your excuses, they become your reality. They shape your habits, your attitude, and your identity. You become someone who almost started, someone who nearly tried, someone who talks about what could have been instead of what is, but that is not who you were created to be. You were not made to watch others rise while you wait for the green light that never comes. You were made to override your own resistance, to silence the voice of fear with decisive action. Excuses live in your mind, but they affect your body. They drain your energy, steal your confidence, and weigh down your momentum. Every time you choose the excuse, you strengthen the habit of hesitation, and hesitation is a dangerous thing because it builds a lifestyle. You start hesitating on dreams, and then you hesitate in relationships, you hesitate in conversations, you hesitate in life, and suddenly you're not living, you're merely existing in a cycle of second, guessing and self-doubt. The truth that sets you free is not comfortable. No one is coming to erase your excuses for you. No one is going to drag you out of your own limitations. That is your job, and it begins the moment you choose to stop believing the lie that you're not ready. Readiness is a myth. No one feels ready. Not the first-time entrepreneur, not the single parent starting over, not the dreamer taking their first step into the unknown. The difference is that some move anyway and others wait for permission. But success never gives out permission slips. It rewards those who give themselves permission to act. You may have valid reasons, you may have a painful past, real obstacles and visible scars, but you must understand, valid reasons can still produce a wasted life. The fact that your excuse is based on truth doesn't make it a useful truth. The truth is you may be tired, but you can still move. The truth is you may be scared, but you can still speak. The truth is you may be behind, but you can still start. Do not mistake difficulty for impossibility. Do not confuse emotion with limitation. You have more inside you than your excuses want you to believe. Excuses love comfort zones. They thrive in routines that demand nothing of you. That's where they feel safe, that's where they grow, but the moment you step outside that zone, the moment you move in spite of the voice saying don't, your excuses start to die. They cannot survive action. They cannot survive forward motion. They feed on passivity. They die in the fire of discipline. That's why you must move, even if it's ugly, even if it's small. The second you move, you shift from victim to leader, from hostage to commander. You take your power back. Your brain is a master storyteller. It will always create a narrative to justify your inaction if you let it. But you don't have to accept every story it tells you. You don't have to live in agreement with your first thought. You can challenge it. You can say, that's an excuse, that's fear talking, that's not me. And when you do that often enough, you create a new identity, one that refuses to bow to comfort, one that doesn't negotiate with doubt, one that decides over and over again to move forward. It's not that people without excuses are stronger, it's that they have learned to act despite them. Every successful person you admire once had the same excuses you do. They had the same reasons to stop, to give up, to wait, but they chose a different path. They chose to stand up when everything said sit down. They chose to show up when it didn't make sense. They chose to act, and in doing so, they became more than their fears. They became examples. The battle is daily. Excuses will knock on your door every morning, wearing a different mask. One day it's fatigue, the next day it's doubt, the next it's distraction. But if you learn to see them for what they are, they lose their grip. You become stronger each time you reject their invitation. Each time you say, not today, I choose to move. And with every rejection, you build a habit of action, a mindset of resilience, a lifestyle of progress. What's waiting for you on the other side of your excuses is not just success, it's freedom. Freedom from the limitations you placed on yourself, freedom from the cage of overthinking, freedom from the lie that you have to feel ready to begin. All it takes is the decision to stop lying to yourself, to stop accepting the voice that says later, to stop living like you have forever. You don't, and that urgency is not fear, it's power, power that becomes yours the moment you decide to act. So stop believing the voice that has kept you small. Stop agreeing with the thoughts that hold you back. They are not your friends. They are not your truth. They are your tests, and the only way to pass them is to defy them. Not once, but daily, over and over again, until they no longer control your narrative. You don't need to silence them forever. You just need to outwork them, outlast them, and outgrow them, one action at a time. You are more powerful than your circumstances, but power without belief is like a flame without oxygen. It cannot grow, it cannot spread, it cannot endure. The great battle is not out there in the world. It is within you. It is between the voice that says you can and the one that says you can't. Most people lose that battle because they accept the second voice as truth. They allow doubt to disguise itself as wisdom. They mistake fear for intuition. They hear you're not good enough so often that it becomes a lullaby they sleep under and a script they live by. But you were not created to be ruled by that voice. You were designed to master it, to rise above it, to replace it with a stronger truth. I can. I will. I must. The world will give you 1,000 reasons to quit. Life will press against you with pain, with pressure, with loss, with uncertainty. And in those moments, belief is the only currency you can spend. Not belief in external things, not belief in your surroundings, belief in yourself, Belief that your inner world is stronger than your outer chaos, that your purpose is bigger than your problems, that your spirit is mightier than the storm. This belief is not just a motivational phrase. It's a decision, a discipline, a weapon. It is forged in fire. It is chosen, not given. You don't have to know how everything will work out. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to believe that you can take the next step. That belief alone can shift everything. It can turn hesitation into action. It can turn fear into focus. It can turn breakdowns into breakthroughs. Belief doesn't make things easy. It makes them possible, and when things are possible, even the smallest action becomes meaningful. Look at any person who has changed the world, built something great, or risen from nothing, and you will find one common denominator: belief. They believed when no one else did. They believed when the evidence didn't support it. They believed when it was just them against the world, and that belief created energy. That energy created motion. That motion created results. You don't get results by waiting to feel certain. You get results by deciding to believe you can, and then backing that belief with relentless action. You've been through storms before. You've survived things that once felt impossible. There was a time you thought you wouldn't make it, and yet here you are. That is not coincidence. That is evidence, evidence of your strength. Evidence that belief, even in the smallest dose, can carry you through the darkest night. You must collect that evidence. You must remind yourself of it often, because belief needs fuel. It needs repetition. It needs reinforcement. Feed it daily with reminders of who you are, what you've overcome, and where you are going. Belief is not passive. It is aggressive. It doesn't sit quietly. It speaks boldly. It interrupts fear. It challenges excuses. It overrides the old programming of failure and plants seeds of possibility. When you speak belief into your life, you activate power, and that power begins to shift the course of your days. People around you will notice it. Opportunities will respond to it. Challenges will submit to it. But it starts with you. No one else can believe for you. No one else can do your inner work. You must build your belief like a warrior builds his strength, in silence, in discipline, in sweat and solitude. It will not feel natural at first. Your brain is wired to protect you from the unfamiliar, and belief is unfamiliar to a mind conditioned by fear. But you must train your mind the same way you train a muscle. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Replace I can't with I can. Replace I'm not ready with I'm being prepared. Replace what if I fail with what if I fly. These are not empty phrases. They are reprogramming tools. They are how you shape your inner world to create a new outer reality. Most people are held hostage not by chains, but by thoughts. The thoughts they accepted as truth without ever questioning them. But if a thought is not serving you, it is not worthy of you. You must challenge it. Who told you that you weren't enough? Who told you that your dream was too big? Who told you that you had to play small, stay safe and settle? Whoever it was, they were wrong. And it's time to stop living under their shadow. This is your life. This is your moment. And belief is the key that unlocks every door you've been too afraid to knock on. There will be days when belief feels like a battle. When every voice in your head screams for you to go back to safety, on those days remind yourself, safety is a cage. Growth is risk. Risk is where destiny lives. Your greatness is not found in staying comfortable. It is found in walking into discomfort with belief as your compass. You may shake, you may fall, but if you believe, you will rise stronger, not because it's easy, but because you chose not to give up. Belief builds resilience when life hits hard, and it will. Belief is what allows you to say, I'm not done. It gives you the grit to stand back up, to adapt, to learn, to keep going. It whispers to your heart, this is not the end, this is a plot twist. And plot twists make stories worth telling. No one wants to read a book where the hero never struggles. Your struggles are shaping your strength. Your belief is the narrator that turns pain into purpose. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need one person. If you believe in you, eventually the world will catch up. People follow belief, they're drawn to it, they trust it, they are inspired by it. When you carry belief, you carry leadership. You carry vision, You become a lighthouse in a storm, not just for yourself, but for others, and there is no greater honor than to become a light in someone else's darkness, simply because you dared to believe in your own. No more waiting for proof. You are the proof. You are the evidence that belief changes everything. You are capable. You are chosen. You are powerful beyond measure, not because of what the world says, but because you choose to say it to yourself first. Choose it daily, say it loudly, believe it deeply, let it guide your steps, fuel your fire, and anchor your soul. Because belief is the beginning of every transformation, the root of every victory, the birth of every miracle. And the moment you claim it, you change the direction of your life forever. Growth is not a product of ease. It is born in struggle, refined in discomfort, and proven in resistance. The uncomfortable path is the one most people avoid, not because they are weak, but because they've been trained to associate discomfort with danger. But discomfort is not danger, it is direction. It is the signal that you are stepping into the unknown, stretching beyond who you've been, and challenging the false limits you've accepted. The most powerful version of you is not found in the comfort zone. It is buried beneath the pain you've been unwilling to feel, the work you've been afraid to do, and the truths you've been hesitant to face. Growth demands discomfort. It is the toll for transformation, and no one travels the road to greatness without paying that toll. If you want to change, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. There's no way around it. Whether it's waking up early when your body craves sleep, having difficult conversations when silence would be easier, confronting your weaknesses instead of hiding behind strengths, or choosing discipline over distraction, the path of growth is paved with discomfort. And yet that discomfort is not your enemy, it is your ally, it is the sculptor of strength, it is the furnace of faith, it is the training ground for the kind of character that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Most people quit not because they lack potential, but because they flee from the first signs of pain. They step into the gym and leave when the burn begins. They start the business and retreat when the rejection hits. They commit to growth and then panic when the old habits come knocking again. They were ready to rise, but not ready to hurt, and that is the difference. Pain is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the refining fire that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the builders. You cannot avoid it if you want to become more. You must walk into it willingly, knowing that it is shaping something eternal within you. Comfort seduces you with the illusion of safety, but the price of comfort is stagnation. Nothing significant has ever been built by someone who only moved when it was easy. Every empire, every legacy, every transformation is the result of someone who chose to be uncomfortable, someone who faced resistance and kept moving forward anyway. Discomfort is where your real work begins. It is where you stop performing and start transforming. It is where you meet the edge of who you've been and step into who you were meant to become. It's easy to stay where you've always been. It's easy to repeat what feels familiar, but nothing grows in ease. If you want new outcomes, you need new actions, and those new actions will feel strange, uncertain, even painful at first. That's not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're stretching. Muscles only grow when they're torn. Trees only grow when they push against the soil. Diamonds are only formed under pressure. Why should you be any different? Growth is always preceded by friction. The presence of resistance is proof you are in motion. Don't run from it, lean into it. The people who rise are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who chose to keep showing up when everything in them wanted to give up. They trained their minds to embrace the uncomfortable moments because they understood that those moments were their classroom. They studied their setbacks, learned from their losses, and refined their methods. They didn't wait for the perfect conditions. They created their own, whether by showing up in the storm. That's what you must do. Stop waiting for it to feel right. Start doing it even when it feels wrong. Growth is not about comfort, it's about commitment. Every time you choose the harder path, you build a new layer of strength. Every time you keep going when quitting would be easier, you rewrite your identity. You stop being the person who starts and stops. You become the person who finishes. You become someone who others can rely on, someone who can rely on themselves. That kind of integrity, that kind of inner strength is not given. It is earned in the uncomfortable moments when you refuse to fold. And you don't have to like the discomfort, you just have to stop avoiding it. You have to make peace with the fact that discomfort is part of the process. You won't always feel motivated, you won't always feel confident. But feelings are not facts, they are fleeting. You must anchor your actions to your vision, not your emotions. Because the moment you let your emotions decide your behavior, you surrender control. But when you choose to act in spite of discomfort, you take back that control. You become the master, not the victim of your environment. Discomfort also reveals what you truly believe about yourself. When the pressure hits, do you believe you're capable, or do you revert to old stories of inadequacy? When you face failure, do you see it as feedback, or do you see it as confirmation that you're not enough? These are the questions discomfort will force you to answer, and how you respond will determine how far you go. If you see discomfort as the enemy, you will retreat every time, but if you see it as the compass pointing toward growth, you will follow it, even when it hurts. There will be days when you want to turn back. When you question if it's worth it, that's when you must remember, comfort never changed anyone's life. It never built the dream, never wrote the book, never healed the wound, never broke the cycle. Only discomfort does that. Only when you are stretched do you realize how far you can go. Only when you're tested do you discover how strong you really are. And only when you walk through discomfort do you find the door to destiny. This is the secret that high performers understand. They are not more talented than you. They are just more comfortable being uncomfortable. They have trained themselves to feel the fear, feel the pressure, feel the pain, and move anyway. That's the difference, not ability, not opportunity, but a relationship with discomfort that is grounded in growth, not avoidance. So when it gets hard, and it will, don't look for the exit, look for the lesson. When it feels unbearable, remind yourself that this is the cost of evolution. You're not breaking, you're being broken open. You're not losing, you're being launched, but only if you stay in the fire long enough to be forged by it. Most people jump out too soon. Don't be most people, be the exception. Be the one who embraces the process. Be the one who chooses discomfort, not because it's pleasant, but because it's powerful, because on the other side of it is not just achievement, but transformation. And that transformation is where your true life begins.